Welcome back into the Sports Source, this segment of our show, brought to you by Safety Systems. Maybe you need a fire system for your business, or a security system for your home, or home theater system in your family room, or man cave, or even on your patio or deck area. They do that as well. Safety Systems are the folks to call. I've used these guys. You should too. Safety Systems. Before we go back to everything, I'm going to throw my director right now. Molly, if you could come back to me. Did get a note. I said earlier that the 1967 tournament only had 16 teams. I was wrong. Had 24 teams. Tennessee got a bye into the Sweet 16, and I'm told by UT information over there that, by God, that counts. So wasn't trying to nix the 1967 Sweet 16 run, but to be correct, they got a bye into the Sweet 16. It was a 24-team tournament. So for those of you that woke up this morning saying, I hope Pennington talks about the 67 tournament, there you go. You've had a good day. All right. Let's go back to our big YP board over there. We're looking at the bottom list now. We're down there in the second round possibilities of Tennessee's feat. That says 2 through 5. Again, we printed this at a time when Tennessee could have lost to Mississippi State. So possibly you could have dumped all the way to a 5 if you got a nightmare draw. That's not going to happen now. So we're looking at teams that are probably going to be second round if Tennessee sees them at all. And Tennessee, of course, if they're a 2 seed, they'd get the winner of 7s and 10s. If they're a 3 seed, they get the winners of 6 and 11s. If they're a 4 seed, they'll play the winner of the 5-12 game. All right, no cheapies at this stage. Everybody had at least 3 red flags statistically against Tennessee. Let's start out. Baylor, probably not going to make it now. Houston, a 3. They're playing in their conference championship game today against Cincinnati. Tennessee fans better be pulling for Houston. If they beat Cincinnati, there's a shot Tennessee gets a 2 seed. Ohio State no longer have Thad Matta, but they're a 3 seed. Tennessee would have fun playing Ohio State. Rhode Island, they're a lot more dangerous than that number 3 red flag shows. Texas is a 3. Jimmy, the selection committee likes to have fun with those types of matchups and then say, oh, no, we had nothing to do with that. We didn't even think about that. Wouldn't surprise me to see Rick Barnes have to go against Texas.
Wouldn't surprise me either. Texas, they've lost 14 games this year, but they got a really outstanding inside player, freshman named Muhammad Bamba. He averages 12.9 points, 10.4 rebounds, so he's averaging a double-double. Their leading scorer is a stretch 4, and he likes to shoot the threes. He's 6'9". They also had a guard in the tournament, the Big 12 tournament, named Young, who's averaging 6 points. He scored 29. So they can be a dangerous team.
All right, very good. Let's move on to the 4 seeds. Tennessee went undefeated against 3s and 4s, I remind you. The 4s include Butler, Clemson, Kansas State, NC State. Josh, NC State opened like 12-7, but they finished hot. It's not the same team that Tennessee beat way back in November in the Bahamas.
Yeah, and turn it on in ACC play, which is considered one of the best conferences in the country. Won in Chapel Hill against North Carolina, beat Duke, has size, so would try to cause problems for Admiral Schofield and Grant Williams, and there is that factor of trying to beat a team a second time, which Tennessee would be trying to do if they played again.
All right. Southern Cal is also a number 4 red flag if they get in. Some people are saying they're not going to make it in. They're on the bubble. We'll see. Some tricky teams raised 5 red flags. Remember, that's the equivalent of Georgia. Georgia made no sense. You looked at Tennessee, it's like, well, they should kill Georgia. And Georgia gave them fits every time they played them. But 5 flags for Georgia, 5 flags for these teams. Arizona, who just won the Pac-12 tournament, they're hot right now, obviously. Miami of Florida, Oklahoma, if they get in. St. Mary's, they've got a great record, but they really haven't beaten anybody this year. They have 1 win at Gonzaga, and that's about it. Seton Hall, Texas Tech, Virginia Tech, Wichita State, who you already mentioned. Mark, anybody else stand out there?
Well, for one, Texas Tech, one, because of their coaching staff. They have 2 former Vol assistants. Chris Ogden was with Barnes for a while, so they've got an inside look of how to go against Barnes' staff. And then St. Mary's, you mentioned them, 11th most efficient offense in the country. Also have a big guy, 6'11", Jock Allender, that can go up against Grant Williams. We've seen some of that length in the inside give him some problems.
There's questions as to whether or not they get in. Some people are debating it because the Gonzaga is their 1 big win, but I think their record's something like 23-5 or 25-6. It's a great record. It's just they don't have the huge wins so far, but that's interesting on the offensive efficiency number. Let's take a look at the 6s. Tennessee went 4-1 against 6 flags this year. 6 flags, get it? The loss coming to Missouri. Well, here are your 6 flag teams that may make it in. Florida State, maybe. Louisville, doubtful. Some of these teams are out because you've had so many of these upsets in the conference tournaments that have taken up these bids. But Florida State would be difficult. Louisville would be difficult. Marquette, TCU, West Virginia. St. Bonaventure lost to Davidson in their conference tournament, but Josh, St. Bonaventure is the one that stands out there because they're not the big name if they get in. Tell me about the Bonnies.
Yeah, if I'm Tennessee, I would hope that the Bonnies don't get in so we don't have to face them. A team that was really hot before losing to Davidson, which really got hot from the outside. Jalen Adams is a guy scoring 20 points a game, better than 45% behind the three-point line. That's the kind of guy that can get hot in the tournament and carry a team.
Yeah, and we went through Oklahoma the last time. That's another one. You've got a player there. If they get in, you're looking at what's Trae Young. That's just a tremendous player all the way around that can take over a game. So when you look at these teams, there are times when it's like, well, just look at the one guy, too. Moving on. All right, now, to remind you, Tennessee was 1-4 against sevens this year. Villanova, Arkansas, Auburn, and Alabama all raised 7 red flags statistically, all beat Tennessee at least once. But there aren't many sevens on the board, which is a good thing for Tennessee. Jimmy, Arizona State, if they get in, Nevada, UCLA. Nevada is probably the best team in that bunch. They were upset in their tournament, their conference tournament, but that's probably the scariest team out of all 3 of those.
I think so. This is a team that Coach Eric Musselman used to be the head coach of the Warriors and the Kings. He was an assistant at LSU. He's been at Nevada for 3 years. He's averaged 27 wins each of those years. This year, they're led by the Martin brothers. They're both 6'7" forwards. One of them averages over 19 points a game. They average over 83 points a game, which is 18th in the country, and they have 4 players that average over 13 points a game.
Pretty good. The Wolfpack, scary. All right, next, the 2 worst matchups on paper. On paper, again, if Tennessee shoots 75%, it won't matter. If they shoot 25%, it won't matter either, in the wrong direction. 8 red flags, Creighton and Gonzaga. Mark Pancratz. Tell me about Creighton and Gonzaga. Why would they be trouble for Tennessee? Why so many red flags?
Creighton has 2 guards in Foster and Thomas. They're leading scorers, can score at multiple levels. Creighton's coaching staff is known for being able to run similar to what Stallings has done at Vanderbilt. We had a lot of movement, motion offense, switches up defenses, and they're just a tough-minded program that have always been able to go up and compete against really strong interior guys, even if they have been undersized in the past.
And Gonzaga?
J3, Jonathan Williams, a Memphis kid that was at one time at Missouri. He's their leading scorer, leading rebounder. But they've got really good veteran guard play. They're one of the most efficient teams offensively and defensively. Just a really good ball club. Again, haven't played a great conference schedule, but they do a good job, Mark Few and staff, in playing really talented teams in the preseason.
I think you're unlikely to see them pop up even in the second round against Tennessee. I think they're going to be seeded high enough, and Tennessee will be seeded high enough that you're not going to see them. But if you do, and you're watching the selection show, and you see Gonzaga or Creighton in the second round, that's one to be concerned about. Those 2 good programs, they match up well against Tennessee. Tennessee only played 1 8 red flag team this year, and it was North Carolina. Gave them a game, but lost. There are some potential late arrivals that could make it into the tournament. North Carolina Central, they made it in. Hey, you'd like to see them because they raised 0 flags. They're like Radford. They're going to be a 16 seed, so you're not going to see them. Georgia State, they're playing today, I believe. They're at 2. They got 2 red flags. Maryland, Baltimore County, they're in 2 red flags. Cal Fullerton won last night over Cal Irvine. I sat up till 2 a.m. and watched that stinking thing. Marshall, just so I could get this graphic right. Marshall 3, Texas Arlington 3. Davidson and San Diego State. Davidson plays today. If they get in, they're going to grab a bid, obviously, take one from someone else. San Diego State won their conference tournament. Both those are 5s. They're a little dangerous. You know anything about them, Mark Pancratz?
Well, I will say Davidson, they played last year in a close scrimmage game, and so they do have some video footage that they'd be able to get some personnel or at least some scheme stuff against.
Good deal. Excellent, guys. Appreciate it. When we come back to Tennessee and Kentucky. And is Tennessee playing for a 2 seed? What are the odds? Come on back.